First of all, I wish you all the best for the new academic session. Welcome you all to this online platform of learning. As you all know that due to corona pandemic, face-to-face teaching learning process is hardly possible these days. So, keeping the safety measures in mind, the college administration has directed us to go for online teaching. So let us begin with today's topic, that is the Victorian age and the role of Tennyson. In the previous class we discussed about Victorian era. I am not going into details for that, but let me brief certain points. As you all know that as the name indicates, Victorian age is the period in the history of English literature when Queen Victoria ascended the English throne and she came into power. This era was a long stretch of time and of comparative peace from 1837 to 1901. Widespread faith in unlimited progress. Nation was progressing, becoming richer and richer, so also the evils were accompanied with money. As you all know that whenever the materialism occurs in people's life, they become greedy, snobbish, and all types of evils enter. Next is an era of peace and prosperity. In Edwardian era and in George IV's era as well, that remained from 1809 to 1837, there was not as such political stability was not there. That's why people were not at peace and there was no prosperity as well. But because Queen Victoria was very wise, she formed certain policies which worked for the peace and prosperity of the nation. Rapid social change. Industrial revolution that came into the 19th century, that is the Victorian era, it destroyed old agricultural class and a new class emerged, that was the merchant class. This new class was having a clash for power and prestige. So society was almost changed. The hierarchy that was there before that was changed. Rise of democracy. In the beginning of the 19th century and before that even, women were not given any kind of rights. They were not entitled for any kind of voting rights, political rights or whatever. They were domesticated till then. But in this era, because Queen Victoria was very powerful lady and she worked for the welfare of the nation, so also she worked for the emancipation of women. Voting rights and the political rights were given to them and they came out from the domestic spheres and they took up independent careers as well. Evolutionary science and spirit of questioning. As we all know that Darwin is the originator of the theory that was given in the book The Origin of Species 1859. That confirmed that we people till now we were considering that we are the gift of God, but this very book gave the idea that we are not the gift of God, but this is all a scientific process. So people were in dilemma. Next point is pessimism. As we all know that there was going on a continual struggle between science and religion. So, established order, customs, faith, beliefs and tradition lost their hold on the minds of the people. People took a gloomy view of life and they felt miserable and helpless. There was, we can say in the terms that there was not a center to hold the things were falling apart. Because till now people were thinking that if we are doing something wrong, if we are doing something good, we will be accordingly rewarded or punished by God. But with the advent of Darwin's theory of the origin of species, this idea was lost. The people were in pessimistic situation. Victorian compromise. Next. Victorian era is also considered to be the transitional phase in the history of English literature because the new era was emerging. New era was that of the science, and the old era that was there of the religion. The continuous struggle between these two eras was there. Man was caught between two worlds, old one crumbling down and the new one not yet formed. Doubts and unrest possessed man's soul, and everything was in ferment. The rise of the new merchant class, rise of democracy and of evolutionary science tended towards the crumbling of the existing order. So, an effort was made to reconcile the old and the new, to bring about a compromise between science and religion, between demand for progress and need for stability, order, and peace. Along with it, in the literature of the Victorian era, there was a concept, or rather, it displaced the idea for art's sake. Now it became art for life's sake. Alfred Lord Tennyson. He has a bigger role in the Victorian era. Alfred Lord Tennyson was born in 1809 and he died in 1892. He was born at Somersby, Lincolnshire, the third surviving son of the rector George Tennyson. He was educated partly by his father, then at Trinity College, Cambridge, where he joined the Apostles and became acquainted with A.H. Hallam, Arthur Hallam. In 1829, he won the Chancellor's Medal for English verse with Timbuktu, the first poem in blank verse to win him a medal. He also became a poet laureate, and he remained a poet laureate for a longer span of time till from 1850 to 1892. Literary works of Tennyson. He was a great poet, and he has composed various works of literature. First of all, we have already discussed Timbuktu, his work, his first poem that was composed in blank verse, and it won him a medal. Poems by Two Brothers, 1827, contains some early work that he chose not to reprint even in his Juvenile, as well as poems by his brothers Charles and Frederick. Poems chiefly lyrical, 1830. It included various poems like Mariana, and it was unfavorably reviewed by Lockhart and John Wilson. In 1832, he travelled with Hallam on the continent, visiting among other places Carteret, a landscape that was to be a lasting inspiration for him. Hallam died abroad in 1833, and in that year Tennyson began In Memoriam, expressive of his grief for his lost friend. Then in 1832, he published a further volume of poems which included The Two Voices, Oinon, The Lotus Eaters, and A Dream of Fair Women. Tithonus, his next work, was published in 1860 and was composed between 1833 to 1834. In 1842, appeared a selection from the previous two volumes, many of the poems much revised, with new poems including Morte d'Arthur, Locksley Hall, Ulysses, and Saint Simon Stylites. From 1845 until his death, he received a civil list pension of £200 per annum. In 1847, he published The Princess, and in 1850, In Memoriam. And in the later year, he was appointed as the Poet Laureate, as we have already discussed, in succession to Wordsworth in 1850, and he remained a Poet Laureate till his death in 1892. If we talk about his writing style and his life, we can say that Tennyson's work reflects an engagement with the past, and he used the tales of legendary heroes to express this concern. He also attempted to reconstruct Britain's past by going back to the legends rooted in the British soil. Other well-known works are Enoch Arden, The Princess Maud, and the famous jingoistic poem The Charge of the Light Brigade. Despite the rich musical quality of his poems and its control over the rhythm of the language, there is a great deal in Tennyson's poetry which is at the level of sentimentalism and didacticism. The excess of emotion at times interferes with the expression of any worthwhile intellectual opinion. As poet laureate, he was often called upon to write on public subjects and on public occasions. Tennyson, thus, both in his abilities and limitations, his moral concerns and didactic purpose, his engagement with legend and history on the one hand, and the spirit of inquiry and scientific progress on the other, represents the contradictions of the Victorian age that we have already discussed in the framework of the Victorian Compromise. He is a well-known example of this Victorian Compromise. In tomorrow's class, we will discuss a poem that is written by, of course, Alfred Lord Tennyson, with whom we have become acquainted with this lecture. So in tomorrow's lecture, we will talk about Ulysses. Let me brief about it. This poem is in the form of a monologue and Ulysses is the speaker. The character depicted in this poem is the character of a restless man, impatient to resume his travels and its inquiry. There is a dissatisfaction with the inactivity and stability of his life in Ithaca. This period contrasts with his earlier life of adventure and challenge, as his son is grown up enough to shoulder the responsibilities of the kingdom. He feels useless and irrelevant to Ithaca. Taken as a representative poem of the Victorian spirit of inquiry, it stands out as a forward-looking voice, always eager, always on the move. The diction, the tone, the pace of the poem contrast with the Lotus Eaters, that is also written by Tennyson himself. There is unbounded energy, a desire to live life intensely and to explore the expanding horizons of knowledge. But from another point of view, it is a very ego-centered poem. The central character is obsessed by self-concern. Note the number of times the pronoun I is used in the poem, and also pay attention to his relationships as described in the poem with his wife, with his son, and with his people. From a modern point of view, there is also the feeling of alienation from his people and his home, from his background, primarily because he has been away for so many years. Thus, time also plays a subtle role. So, I suggest that you all go through this poem and read it carefully so that we can have a better understanding of it in the next lecture. Thank you all.